Hello, my fellow D&D YouTubers. My name is Dr. DM, and today I'm going to take you on a wild ride on a new adventure as we explore together the Unearthed Arcana that just came out for expert classes. This covers the Bard, Rogue, and Ranger, and the new iterations for the upcoming ONE D&D expansion, in this case for playtest material. So let's dive into them, see what we think, see what's new, see what's better, see what's worse. And also then, in a separate video, I'm going to take a look at the feats and the new rules glossary as well, and spells. But for now, the 3 new classes, let's see what we think. And I'd like to see what your thoughts are in the comments below as well. Let's get into the document here. And all right, so we're moving away from the 2014's Player's Handbook, although we're going to see that many of the things have been taken from there, but reworked. And here we have the expert classes. 3 classes that appear in this document are, as I mentioned, Bard, Ranger, and Rogue. Each one has 1 subclass. Apparently there's going to be up to, I don't know, I think 48, so each one's going to have 2 to 3, roughly, maybe 4 subclasses when this comes out. Feats. So feats, as we talked about in the previous video, they're now leveled feats. So your first feats are going to be at level 1, everyone gets a feat at level 1, and then starting at level 4, you'll unlock your next feat. And this feat system is unique now because the ASI, where you could get 2 stat points, right, is now a feat as well. We'll get into that too. Spell lists. The spells are now Arcane, Divine, and Primal, divided into those 3 categories. And we'll see a couple of the classes today are in those categories. And the rules glossary, which they're saying any of the previous rules glossaries are going to be overridden by the ones in newer UA. So you want to make sure you're keeping up with those and seeing what's going on if you want to give your feedback. And which you should. This is my feedback, I'll also be submitting feedback as well officially, through D&D Beyond. So please do that. Let them know. Let's make the next D&D one the onest, the bestest. So, all right, we're going to get into, as I said, the classes. Parts of a class. All right, what are the parts of a class? First, the primary ability. The primary ability of the class is critical to the class's features. When you create that character, the ability is a great place to put in your highest score. So, of course, you're going to want to do Dex if you're a Ranger, Dex if you're a Rogue, Strength if you're a Paladin, Strength if you're a Barbarian, Wisdom if you're a Cleric, and so on and so forth. That's not really any different. Here is the multi-classing rules. You must have at least a 13 in the primary ability of your classes to multi-class in and out. So that is the same attribute as before. Class group. Okay, this is where I have some, not issues, but I find this humorous, and I think that this is something that we have to work through together. So, class group. Each of the classes in D&D now are built into a class group. This is the Experts UA. So, in the Experts group, which you see right here, we have Bard, Ranger, and Rogue. What are the characteristics? They're polymaths who have the expertise feature and elements of other classes. So, although each of the 3 classes will be unique, distinct as it always has been, they're going to share some features. In this case, expertise, where if you have a +2 proficiency bonus, you can select 2 skills, you have expertise on those, and you double your proficiency bonus. So if you have expertise in stealth and your proficiency bonus is +2, you'll instead add a total of +4, +2, on that on that skill. So in this way, you're going to really fortify your skills and skill checks for combat and non-combat encounters. Well, what do I think about this? So we have experts, mages, priests, and warriors. So the mages are sorcerer, warlock, wizard, adepts of arcane magic, focused on utility and destruction. Priests, which are cleric, druid, and paladin, stewards of divine or primal magic, focusing on healing, utility, and defense. And finally, warriors, barbarian, fighter, monk, masters of combat who can deal and endure many wounds. All right, so these are categories that existed before in previous D&D editions. D&D Basic and AD&D, I think, had these categorizations. And even then, for example, when you were playing Cleric/Priest, the Druid was kind of like a subclass of that, sort of kind of in the same category. This is interesting, funny to me, I guess, because if any of you have played, MMOs or kind of like a lot of RPGs and so forth, you'll see that, especially in the MMO category, it's, okay, I want to enter this dungeon, but to enter this dungeon, to queue up, right, for the dungeon finder or whatever, you need to have, a tank, 2 DPS, and a healer, or what have you. So I kind of see these same categories here. So if you want to play in this group, right, we got to make sure we have 2 warriors for the front line, and a priest for the back line, and a mage for nuking, and make sure we have an expert for social encounters or whatever, or maybe one of the adventure leagues will say this adventure is recommended for 2 mages, a priest, and a warrior, for example. So I can see that this is a good way for new players to have an idea of what they're doing, really kind of in a meta sense. So you come into this group, and what do you need? Okay, well, we could use a priest. Because we have a warrior and 3 mages, or we need an expert, somebody who's going to be the face of the group, because everyone else is just warriors. And so I think it goes a little bit, as I mentioned before, a little bit to the meta game here, because if you're just an adventurer, out in the Forgotten Realms and the Sword Coast, you're going on adventure, you're not thinking, okay, I am a mage, so I need a priest, and then I also need an expert, and I need 2 warriors to back me up. So everyone's just kind of is unique in that way, but I can see this helping new players get an idea of what their overall role is in a party, and to help build parties, especially again for new players, that meets the needs of the overall adventure or even of the party itself, to make sure that's balanced. So it also is interesting. You can take this further on that. It's like, okay, I want to do this adventure, right? And they recommend a balanced party. But really, we want to run this with like 4 warriors. It could be interesting to talk about. Here's my speed run, right, of this particular module with these classes. So I don't know. I like it. I like having the distinctions for new players where they can put themselves in the category, know what their role is, and other players can say, okay, we need this kind of role. On the other hand, I think it's a bit gamey, a bit metagamey too. So I'm okay with it. I think it helps new players, but overall, I could do without it. I don't necessarily need it, and I think advanced players don't necessarily need it either, to be so kind of compartmentalized, right? So it's interesting. Moving on. Artificer is also an expert. So Artificer is coming. I'm not sure if it's going to be one of the base classes, but it'll be there. And as an expert, it'll have expertise, of course. So a class group has no rules in itself, but these prerequisites and other rules can refer to these groups. For example, only members of the mage group might be able to attune to a particular magic item, or a feat might be available to only members of the warrior group. When creating a party of adventurers, one way to form a well-rounded group is to include at least 1 member of each class group. That said, mix and match classes to your heart's content. So there you go. They want you to make sure this is a way to balance your party, to make sure you got a balanced party. And it's weird though, because in D&D, a cleric isn't just your healer, right? You don't choose a cleric because you need a healer. A cleric can be a badass damage dealer. As a Tempest domain, they can just be throwing out spells, bashing heads with the best of them. So it's a good guideline, again, for new players, which it seems like ONE D&D is going that direction. Now, this is interesting that they're going to have magic items and feats available only to certain class groups, right? So you might have a really strong fighting-oriented feat, for example, a Great Weapon Master, a Sharpshooter. And we'll get to that because those have changed. But the original, right, where you can take away some of your attack bonus and do more damage, right? That might be available to a warrior, or some kind of like spell slinging feats might only be available to a spell class, or like a bolstered healing feat might be available only to a priest class, priest group, right? These aren't out yet, right? But just to give you an idea, that's what might be it going forward. Now, magic items being restricted in a way to certain classes makes you wants you to diversify the group to make sure you fit in these categories. So that's a little bit arbitrary, I suppose, but if you multi-class, then maybe you can kind of get around that rule. Well, that's not very clear, but if you do take like 1 level in a class, maybe you do qualify for both. So interesting. So they're really trying to get you to diversify the group as far as like your different niches and roles within a party. So okay, creating a member of the class. The class description includes a section on how to create a member of the class. That section tells you how to determine hit points, proficiencies in armor training. Armor is no longer a proficiency. Armor training lets you know what you can wear, and we'll see that in the classes later. And the equipment the class provides at first level, and how to use the multi-classing rules of the class. So multi-classing, I think, has been improved slightly, or tweaked anyway, and we'll see that. All right, class features and subclasses. Each class gets a subclass. Now, subclasses are all at 3rd level now, as far as I see here. And they said they wanted to streamline that. Jeremy Crawford said they were looking to streamline that. So instead of one class that gets it at level 1 and one class at level 3, it's going to be probably all 3rd level, is my assumption, at least based on what we see here. And now that's going to make dipping a little more, I don't want to say clunky, but probably not as like overpowered, because now instead of, you dip 1 level cleric and you get all the light cleric abilities or whatever's available at level 1, including, heavy armor mastery and so forth. Now you're really going to have to think about that multi-classing a little more. Okay, and of course, as I say, you can use the 2014 Player's Handbook or Tasha's. If the older subclasses offer features at that level that are different from the subclasses in this class, in this guide here, follow the older one, so you can't mix and match. All right, let's get into this. As we see, all three classes have new features, and the classes also now they offer some decisions have been not taken away from you, but they, for example, spells can be pre-chosen for you just for simplicity's sake. You know, I talked about in the previous video, decision paralysis is a real thing, especially for newer players. So they really try their best to kind of handhold you through a lot of the character creation process. If you want that, you can nix that, and make your own once you start getting a hang of the game. Same thing with the backgrounds too. You can nix all that and make your own. So that's good. And each class's 20th level feature previously has been moved to 18th level, opening up 20th level for epic boons. Epic boons previously existed in Dungeon Master's Guide as after level 20, you can still kind of level up by getting stronger feats and features. And now, that aside, the 20th level features, the capstone abilities, right, has moved to 18th level. So you can get those sooner, maybe enjoy them as well. Even though many players don't really go beyond 8th to 11th level. Hopefully, if you do get there, if you only go to like 18th level, at least you get to experience the height of the class, right, the apex of that class without needing to get all the way to the very, very end. So, all right, let's go into Bard. Class group is expert. So as we saw, being expert, it gets expertise, but not only that, it can use feats and magic items that are available for experts. Primary ability is charisma, so you need to get 13 in charisma, deal with multi-class in and out for this particular class. And what are bards? They are the words of creation masters, whether that be through music, dance, verse, and inspiring others. Bards, they do what to do. Support, and so forth. Looking at bards, first level, second level, third level, proficiency bonuses stay the same. Class features mostly stay the same. Some levels have changed. For example, Jack of all trades here is 5th level. I think it used to be 3rd or 2nd level actually for that. Bardic dice for your inspiration, cantrips, and spells. So spell progression has stayed roughly the same for bards. They're still a full spellcaster, more or less, as you see here. And okay, let's see. Creating a bard. Starting equipment, multi-class. Okay, D8 for Bard. 8 plus Constitution, hit points after first level, 1d8 or 5 plus your con. Same as usual. Saving throws, dex, and charisma, okay. Skills, deception, performance, persuasion, or any 3 skills of your choice. Now, this isn't for all classes, just Bard gets this particular kind of opening of possibilities of skill choice. Simple weapons, and 3 musical instruments of your choice. You're not a Bard unless you can play the guitar while playing the harmonica and singing. And armor training is light armor. Great. Now, here's a good change I like for starting equipment. At first level, you start with the following equipment, or you can forego it and spend 100 GP of equipment of your choice. So before you were kind of forced into, okay, you take the short sword or you take the scimitar. You get a shield or you get heavy armor, right? And I turned eventually as the DM to give my players just gold so they can really create their characters as they see fit. Maybe they don't want to use a light sword. Maybe they want to use a great sword. Maybe whatever it is, right? I think having in the book, in the guide here, explicitly telling you and your DMs that you can just buy equipment within this gold piece amount you get at your leisure is good. It's a good change. Multi-classing. All right, everyone loves multi-classing. Maybe one of the best parts of D&D and really tailor-making your character and making cool, overpowered characters too. To do that, you need the 13, in this case, in charisma. Proficiencies. If Bard isn't your initial class, here are proficiencies you gain when you take your first Bard level. Before, you never got that. Here, now you get a bonus, right? Maybe you don't get a full subclass, but you do get their first level abilities. If you subclass, you dip 1 level, and some skill and other proficiencies as well. Not only that, when you gain your first level in Bard, you will gain light armor training. Now, there's no stipulation here. I think this is all under multi-classing, right? Yeah, multi-classing. So if you didn't have light armor before and you dipped into Bard, well, now you have light armor. And this probably goes for Paladin or Fighter. Maybe if you dip into that, boom, heavy armor proficiency right away, even if you don't start as Fighter. Okay. Spell slots, okay, you get your spell slots, and they're, I think, individual still. Yeah, individually, for your class individually. For your spell slots, individually. Okay. Features. Bardic Inspiration. You can supernaturally inspire others through words, music, or dance. This inspiration is represented by your Bardic Inspiration die, which is a d6 at level 1. It goes up, I think, all the way to d12. How do we use this Bardic Inspiration? Boost a d20 test. So d20 tests now are ability checks, attack rolls, skill proficiencies, all that stuff is just a test now. When another creature within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear fails a d20 test, you can use your reaction to give that creature a Bardic Inspiration die. The creature rolls that die and adds a number rolled to d20, potentially turning the failure into a success. Okay, that's pretty good. I like that it's your reaction instead of a bonus action before. Reaction was something that people rarely use, or it was really part of the action economy that wasn't, I think used to the best possible way. So, except for like attack of opportunities, or if you took like Polearm Master, I like that they're adding more things to use a reaction. So really, those main three, your action, bonus action, reaction, will have more uses. So you're going to feel more fulfilled in and out of your turn for most of these classes. Or another possibility with this inspiration is to, after a creature within 30 feet takes damage, you can use your reaction to roll your Bardic Inspiration die and restore a number of hit points equal to that number rolled. If your Bardic Inspiration is d6, someone gets hit, they take 4 points of damage, you say, all right, I'm going to inspire them with it's a reaction, so flourish or hum, who knows. You roll a d6, they regain that many hit points. It's kind of like a healing word a little bit. I like this reaction, but I feel like this is it's a little bit gamey, because what are you really doing in half a second to a second to heal somebody? And it is hit points, so hit points aren't always just an indicator of I'm actually physically hurt. So sometimes it's just an indicator of like stamina, how weakened you are, kind of in a certain sense. So okay, but it does say heal. Still, this is proportionally good at lower levels, because if you have 8 to 10 hit points and you're rolling a d6, that's great. Even by mid-level, when you have like a d8 inspiration die, some of your fighters have like 70 hit points, 60, 70, 80 hit points, who knows? Proportionally gets weaker and weaker, but actually what that turns it into is kind of like a crutch save, right? A crutch like, I don't want my person to go down. I don't want my party member to go down, so just immediately stopping somebody from going down, which can kind of kill a lot of the momentum of the game if you always have on tap for your reaction a way to immediately save somebody from death, which is what it'll turn into, because you're not really going to be using this to heal somebody with 100 hit points, right? You roll a 2, and what have you done? No, well, at that point, you're going to save it for either a boost or like insta-save. They get down to 0 hit points. Okay, reaction to stop him from dying. Next turn, do it again. Or if there's 2 bards or someone that's dead bard, well, then you can stop 2 people from dying every turn. I guess Healing Word serves the same kind of purpose, although it's a bonus action that's also on your turn. Here you can, this is just kind of like as gamey as Silvery Barbs is for damage or for stopping things from happening. I'm not sure I like it that much. I feel like it's just kind of a way to, again, another way to make combat not as deadly, and 5th edition is already not that deadly, so take it as you will. If you want to use it, go for it. Number of uses, I would probably see if they can rework that. And refills on a long rest. Alright, spellcasting. What do we have here? Prepared spells. Now, bards are preparing their spells. It's not spells known. Many classes are now like this. I think probably all the classes. I don't know. Maybe Sorcerer isn't, but I think all the classes here are prepared. So you have to prepare your spells, that morning or the day ahead of time. If you know what's coming up, prepare them, and then you got those spells for the day, and that's it. So, I don't know. I like the known spells. I like being able to kind of sling at whatever is needed at the time, but here's where we are. So this is the recommendation, right? They say you can have these prepared: Color Spray, Disguise Self, Participation, and Vicious Mockery. So you can, of course, choose these however you want. It doesn't have to be these, but I like that they're giving you, especially, again, new players, some help and saying, just choose these. They're going to serve you, and once you're ready to make your own, then do it. And, okay, they have the Arcane Spell list. Refresh on a long rest. And yeah, okay, you can prepare more spells. As you get higher level, you get more spell slots. Charisma is your spell casting, and your musical instrument and so forth is your spell focus. Okay. Second level, expertise. So you get expertise in one of 2 skill proficiencies of your choice. Performance and persuasion are recommended, but, not necessarily a requirement. Second level, Songs of Restoration. You've learned how to use music, poetry, and dance to heal wounds and maladies. So here's where we get into the way Wizard seems to be going around this spell list. So it's arcane, primal, divine, all right? And Bard kind of fit in multiple categories in the case where they had arcane spells, but they could also do things like healing, right? And here's where it is. So they're giving you spells through one of these level abilities, right? They kind of break the barrier of the arcane spell list or whatever spell list it is. And here you get Healing Word, which is not on the arcane spell list. Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, which is pretty awesome. Freedom of Movement, and Greater Restoration. All right, so that's the way they're kind of breaking those molds, those strict spell categories. All right, and at 3rd level, you get your Bard subclass, which is the College of Lore. Now, we'll go on before we get to the College of Lore and just look at the other things. Feats, 4th level, you get the ASI Feat, or another feat of your choice. 5th level, you get Jack of all trades, which was the 2nd level. So they're kind of changing these based on whatever they think the power level is or whenever it's most beneficial for the players, although this was cool having it earlier. More subclass features, Font of Inspiration, another feat, Expertise, 2 more. Subclass feature again, Magical Secrets. This was originally 10th level. You can kind of go into another spell list and take some of their spells. Feats, subclass features, further Magical Secrets, Feat, Superior Bard Inspiration, which was 20th level, is now 18th. Feats and Epic Boons, which we'll look at in another video. All right, here's the spell list. I'm not going to go through them. A lot of ones are similar, but looks like they've also been tapered down too. There's a lot of UA, a lot of spells that maybe haven't made the final list or the new D&D 1, and maybe they'll be added later. So we'll see. All right, Bard subclass. Just one available right now, and that is the College of Lore. They know a little bit of everything. They collect bits of knowledge from diverse sources, such as tomes or peasant tales, singing folk ballads, taverns, going to college and libraries and so forth. Okay. What is their main ability? Well, that's cutting words. Before the College of Lore, it did have cutting words too, but had a little bit more of a stronger boost at lower levels, so we'll see. You get a bonus proficiency now, on top of the previous ones, Arcana, History, Nature. Your cutting words, let's see. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of you succeeds an ability check or attack roll, you can use your reaction to expend one of your Bardic Inspiration dice, roll that Inspiration die, and subtract that, just like before. You get Cunning Inspiration. Let's see, through studies, you've learned to inspire others is better. When any creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration die, that creature can roll 2 dice and use the highest of the 2 rolls. Okay, so when they roll a die, you choose advantage, basically. Improve cutting words. Now you deal some psychic damage with that. And Peerless Skill. When you make an ability check and fail, you can expend a Bardic Inspiration, and you can add that to your ability check to see if you make it. So this lore previously had additional magic secrets, where you get 2 other spells of your choice. I think the reason people liked the College of Lore was because you can really make a unique bard by taking abilities from wizard or druid and do something that no other person in your party can do. That is, have spells from all the different spell lists without needing a multi-class, right? I know in Critical Role, like, they had a character that can do that, and it's really cool. And like, oh, how are they able to use this spell if they're a bard? Well, the fact is they have these magical secrets. So they do have that in the main class, but it was a really cool feature of lore. I'm a little sad that that's gone, just to get more cutting words. But I guess the point of lore is that they have cutting words, so that's a thing now. Okay, well, I think we've come to the end now for the expert classes. Now, we've only done Bard in this video, and I'm releasing a video for Ranger and Rogue as well, individually. That way it's a little more digestible, because there's a lot of information here. So check those out if you want. And yeah, so far, what do I think about Bard? Well, it's much of the same. Some changes I'm not so sure about. Other ones, maybe they're a little better. We'll have to stack these as well with the feats and with other rules coming down the pipeline, and we'll see how everything ends up. So thank you for watching. See you next time.